UFC 292 just recently wrapped up, and I'm going to recap the entire card. I'm on cloud 9 right now, guys, because I called the Sean O'Malley underdog knockout, and I also smashed past 20,000 subscribers on the live stream. So much love and thank you to all the supporters of the channel. Looking forward to talking about each of the fights on this card. So make sure you guys smash that like button, and if you're new to the channel, subscribe. I'm going to start with the first fight of the night, work my way up to the main event. Let's start it off. We have Karine Silva defeating Maryna Moroz by submission in the first round. It was a nasty, tight guillotine choke with literally 1 second left. Moroz is tapping out. Karine Silva on the feet looks so damn fluid. I was impressed as hell with her. And to avenge the loss here against Maryna Moroz now many years later is awesome to me. I really think Karine Silva is a top tier contender right now. 29, really in her athletic prime, and her skill set seems to be pretty high caliber. I would like to see her facing off with ranked opposition next, because this was a really impressive win. She's incredibly well-rounded. I love the way she strings the strikes together, and on the floor, getting the neck like that, making Moroz tap out. Beautiful work. Silva, epic to get revenge in the same fashion. First round submission over Maryna Moroz. Great win in her first real legit UFC test. Next fight on the card, Natália Silva defeats Andrea Lee. This was her biggest test of her career inside of the UFC. She does have a win over Jasmine Jasudavicius, who is looking like a pretty solid contender in that top 15 now. She takes another ranked girl on, being Andrea Lee here. Natália Silva looked damn good. She was touching her up from the outside with punches and kicks. Andrea Lee had minimal success. Her nose was leaking a lot of blood. She was getting kicked up from range, had maybe a couple of moments throughout the fight, but for the majority, it was Natália Silva cracking her with big shots, kicking her from the outside, keeping her at bay, moving incredibly well. Silva's another one, incredible contender, just 26. And she's styling on Andrea Lee like this. That's huge right now. You have Karine Silva and you have Natália Silva, both flyweight prospects getting huge W's on this card. And, they're very experienced girls at 26, already having, 22 pro fights now for Natália Silva. That's major. And even on the commentary, they talked about her having a couple losses or whatnot, or a few losses, handful, I should say, as not really a bad thing, because in MMA, it's great that she garnered that high-level experience, or maybe even not high-level experience, but positional experience, maybe on the floor against somebody who, has an edge on you, and you lose that fight because you're young and you took a high risk against a dangerous fighter. At the end of the day, you get to the UFC, it's a new slate. She's unbeaten in the UFC with 4 straight wins. She looks like an absolute monster putting it on Andrea Lee. I think she could fight the likes of a Macy Barber. There's a lot of matchups on the horizon for her. She's poised to be a top 5 contender. I see her challenging for the belt at some point at just 26 years of age. I definitely am, super impressed with Natália Silva. I knew heading in, I was confident she would win, and she did. But she really put it on Andrea Lee with a dominant decision. Next fight, Andre Petroski defeats Gerald Meerschaert on a close split decision. Gerald Meerschaert gave it hell in that fight, and at the end really finished the fight strong and clearly won the 3rd round. It was a coin flip first round. I scored it live. I had picked Meerschaert to win, but scoring it live, I gave it 2-1 for Petroski, so I'm not going to be yelling robbery. Could it have went Meerschaert's way? Absolutely, he could have got the 1st round. 2nd round was Petroski's. 3rd round was definitely Meerschaert's. So you have 2 clear rounds, and then the first being a toss-up round. It went the way of Petroski on 2 out of the 3 judges' scorecards, but damn, it was close. Petroski was tested, and that gas tank in the later rounds is still something in that 3rd and final round especially, that Petroski is showing as a slight vulnerability. He really was close with Meerschaert in the striking, besides obviously dropping him with a huge punch in the second. I thought GM3 was looking pretty solid. I would have loved to have seen him got the win. And I think it was close where you couldn't have necessarily made a crazy argument against whoever wins the fight. So them giving it to Petroski on a split decision, understandably so. But I definitely don't see him in a great spot to be a future title challenger, just inching by a Gerald Meerschaert. Especially after what Joe Pyfer was able to do. And Pyfer is a prospect on the come up at 185 pounds. So Petroski stays alive as a prospect, but damn close with Meerschaert and showing some vulnerabilities heading into more matchups. Next fight was the Bantamweight Ultimate Fighter finale. It was Brad Katona versus Cody Gibson, and bravo to both of these men for delivering an Ultimate Fighter classic. It's one of those reminiscent of, Forrest Griffin, Stephan Bonner on this season. Jason Knight put it on with Kurt Holobaugh beating him. That was an absolute war. This fight here was epic shit. Brad Katona had that dog in him at the end and was able to steal the fight. Cody Gibson was coming out like a bat out of hell in the first round. It was a scrap in the second. Katona having moments in the third. Gibson landed big shots. Katona's always throwing heat back, but then you notice the eye of Gibson was really bothering him, and it caused him to, ultimately wilt towards the end. In the gas tank later in the fight seemed to really favor Katona. His pace never slowed. Gibson made it a high-paced fight, and Katona matched and then exceeded that high pace with a tremendous cap on the fight, winning the third round. Now Katona is the two-time Ultimate Fighter winner, and I don't think he's in a bad spot, right? You look at losses, the close fight with Azure before he left the UFC, where he was released, rather. And then you look at the Merab Dvalishvili loss, not a bad look, because Merab's, top tier in the bantamweight division now. I think Brad Katona here, he's in an interesting position where he could potentially get into that top 15. He has the tutelage. He's got the skill set to be pretty solid. Gibson brought hell to him. I will say this. I'd like to see the UFC keep Cody Gibson around. I think he's UFC caliber, and he delivered a pretty epic performance. They both got, the bonuses, $50K each for fight of the night. This was an incredibly deserving $50,000 bonus on both sides. Katona, the Ultimate Fighter winner. Big congratulations to him, man. That was sick. Kurt Holobaugh wins against Austin Hubbard by triangle choke in this one. Holobaugh was that dog in it, man. Older guy, 36, coming in here against Hubbard, who I thought was riding momentum. He was the favorite, and I thought that he had a good chance to win this fight. Holobaugh was cracking him with right hands, man. They were landing beautifully at the end, right? As he locked it out. Boom. Shots are landing on the chin of Hubbard. He's feeling the strikes. Lands a takedown earlier in the fight, but wasn't able to do much damage with it. The boxing seemed to favor Holobaugh, and then ultimately the key difference maker, Holobaugh's got that jiu-jitsu skill too. Puts him in a triangle, gets the tap. It was like first armbar triangle transition. It was honestly great work by Kurt Holobaugh. That was a huge win for him. Winning the Ultimate Fighter now. He's back in the UFC. I wonder if they'll keep Hubbard around, man. I would assume that they could. I know he lost here in the Ultimate Fighter finale, but it's not necessarily, they're not going to bring both of the guys into the UFC. It made Cormier made it seem like the loser of the Ultimate Fighter finales wasn't getting signed, but that's not necessarily true. A lot of losers, and even guys that don't make it to the finals on the Ultimate Fighter, become UFC fighters. So I think that Hubbard potentially gets another fight. Holobaugh, obviously huge win, finally getting his UFC victory. I feel as though he made a cool call out to Paddy Pimblett, but Pimblett's levels above as far as the name value at this point. But I like that Holobaugh shot there. I think it was a good move, and it was a great performance by him. Next fight was Gregory Rodrigues versus Denis Tiuliulin, and obviously there's going to be some controversy because on the ground, Gregory Rodrigues was, a menacing force, destroyed Tiuliulin on the ground, but there was an elbow that landed right around here. So the mohawk area, how thick is your mohawk? Well, I guess about this thick through. Mohawk area, strikes are illegal. He got him about here. Also, 1-inch variance, so slightly maybe here. Some will feel that this comes over and it's an illegal strike, or is it referee discretion? The 1-inch variance can go on the flip side one way or the other. Brian Miner seemed to think that was a legit strike. Watching it, you'd have to watch it 10 times over. It was damn close. It was right there. It was in that 1-inch variance, that gray area, I'll say. And then the next one was clean, and Tiuliulin was unconscious. Gregory Rodrigues, either way, destroyed Denis Tiuliulin and was en route to winning the fight. He ends up getting a vicious ground and pound knockout. I think that this was one of those breakout performances because Rodrigues is like, okay, I'm a mixed martial artist. Stop fighting like a, straight brawler, like he's just doing bare knuckle boxing. He's only throwing fists. Normally, Gregory Rodrigues is just looking for knockouts, and he's a very capable grappler. So I'm very grateful that he chose to mix in the wrestling here, get the fight to the floor, and absolutely destroy Tiuliulin on the mat because his jiu-jitsu is that good. He could have locked up a sub. Instead, he wanted a vicious knockout. Just instead of on the feet, he does it from top. So sick ground and pound. It was brutal. One of those brutal ground and pound knockouts that you rarely see, and I was blessed to see it here. Next fight, this was the featured prelim. Brad Tavares, Chris Weidman. Gutsy effort by Chris Weidman, but ultimately Brad Tavares got the deserving win. Weidman's legs were getting ripped apart with kicks. His damn toughness keeps him in it, though. He goes the full distance in the fight, and there was a couple striking moments in the boxing range that I could see the young Chris Weidman, shades of him, but he's not the same. He doesn't move the same. The legs are not the same. He doesn't have the same explosiveness. He's just well past his prime at 39 years of age and suffering a brutal leg break. Brad Tavares is a consistent performer, ripped the legs apart, and defended every takedown. Brad Tavares' takedown defense is godly. Chris Weidman, known for his epic wrestling, could not get close to a damn takedown. Brad Tavares has iron hips, stopping every attempt by Chris Weidman. It was a sick win. Brad Tavares was impressive, man. You know what? To go out there, outstrike, fend off the wrestling of a, OG like Chris Weidman. For Tavares' self, he's got to feel amazing. I mean, he's been in middleweight forever. He's been around, with Weidman at the top at one point. He was there. And Tavares to then go out there and beat a guy that he looked at as world champ, I got to say, probably feels pretty amazing for him. And he definitely deserved the W in this fight. Chris Weidman, I'd like to see come back, and I want the UFC to give him an easy fight. Give him a showcase. Can we give him Denis Tiuliulin? Can we do Weidman versus Tiuliulin? Let's do it. Let's give Tiuliulin the chance of a lifetime, and let's give Weidman, somebody that he has a clear path to victory against that he'll probably finish. Let's do that instead of giving him guys near the top 15. Because I don't think Weidman's poised to make any type of title run. That leg injury is no joke. Maybe he never fights again. End of the day, Weidman lost the fight, but he won the battle for this reason. He decided to buckle in and get back in the UFC and do a fight again to prove that he can do it. To silence maybe the self-doubt more than anything. And he was able to go out and perform. And obviously an inspiration, towards his family to get back in. So I was impressed by Weidman having that dog in him, making it a fight. But ultimately, let's be real. There's no shot Chris Weidman's ever fighting for a belt again, or even anything close to it. His best bet is to do a fun fight. And that's why I say give him Denis Tiuliulin. Doesn't have to actually be Denis Tiuliulin, but somebody that's a less caliber fighter that has a clear hole in the wrestling. Let's do that. Let's give Weidman a chance of a win to send it off with as a former champion of the world and having defeated Anderson Silva very early in his career, right? How crazy was that when he beat Anderson Silva? Weidman was, 9-0, 8-0 at the time, and he fucking knocked out Anderson? He's been around forever now. Brad Tavares, he's a quality gatekeeper. Weidman's not breaking into that top 15. Tavares stops him from working his way back. Let's jump to the main card. Make sure you guys smash the likes if you haven't. And if you're new, subscribe. Marlon Vera, Pedro Munhoz. Absolutely great fight, man. But I'm going to make a quick little gripe, okay? The commentary can fuck right off in this matchup. Absolute bias from Rogan talking about that Pedro Munhoz was so active in the first round, acting like Marlon Vera was not cracking him with strikes. And there was shots being landed by Vera, and Cormier and Rogan are having a conversation, and then Munhoz lands a couple of strikes that were not nearly as significant as Marlon Vera, and it's like, those are big shots. Munhoz is landing, he's coming on, he's out striking him. Meanwhile, strike stats about even, slightly favoring Vera. I don't have them in front of me, but at the end of the day, that was horrible, in my opinion. I thought that this was clearly the Vera's first round and the Vera third round. He definitely had done enough, in my opinion, to win the fight. It seemed like almost they were against Vera all week. He didn't get a ton of coverage, I felt like. The UFC didn't really give him the rub. And he went out there and he won, and he's probably in line for a title. We'll talk about that as we get to the O'Malley fight at the top versus Sterling. But yeah, I thought the commentary here was abysmal for this fight. And I normally am never trying to be critical of Rogan as an OG Rogan fan, as somebody that loved watching Rogan as, the main color commentator through, the early stage of the UFCs in the 2010s. I guess not even that early, but, he was there early and he's made it all the way through. He's an OG. But there was, in my opinion, some very wrong takes here, and it seemed biased towards Munhoz. Like Vera just had no start in the first round. He definitely won the first round. He definitely won the fight. Vera put on a quality performance against a game Pedro Munhoz. Chito Vera's good, man. I called him as the lock of the week, and a lot of people felt that it wasn't a good call, but it came through by decision as fucking predicted. Pedro Munhoz, very difficult to finish. Tough dude, but Vera was beating the shit out of him in the third round. It was a great win. And Vera's right at the top. We'll get more to that when we get to the main event. Super happy with Marlon Vera's performance. He deserved it. He beat Pedro Munhoz. He was able to turn it on a little bit faster than normal, which I think is huge. And I saw guys through MMA Twitter that come up on the UFC screen saying that Munhoz won the first round. I think that was complete delusion. I think that's way off. I think that call is just plain wrong. Way more damage and significant shots being landed by Vera in the first round and the third round. He was the clear winner, and I see no argument that can be made, man. Zero here. Vera, clean W, sick win, and iffy commentary. Let's get to the next one. It was Mario Bautista versus Blackshear. Blackshear looked like a menace early, but he's taken 2 fights back-to-back. I really thought that he would be able to look how he did in the first round throughout the whole fight, but the 2 back-to-back weight cuts I do think had a slight impact because later he fatigued, and Bautista's got that dog in him. He doesn't stop. And Bautista got a win, but Blackshear's wrestling was better than Bautista's. He's just slowed down. He wasn't able to find punches. His shots were looking loopy and a little sloppy. He looked almost slightly fatigued in the second round. I started noticing. He looked worn a bit. He fought last weekend. So he tried to go back to back. And you know what? Taking a risk like that turned out to, I guess, be the wrong move. But it shows me that Blackshear's skill set's pretty quality with a top prospect like Mario Bautista to be competitive and clearly win the first round. And then ultimately, things went a different way with the official scorecards because I believe, 3 judges, or at least 2 out of the 3 judges, had 30-27s, which I thought was just delusional. Blackshear was the clear first-round winner. I don't know what the fuck they were watching. That makes no sense. Blackshear first round all day. There's no argument. 0. Yeah, so I don't know what the judges were smoking, but it is what it is. The right guy won the fight. I scored the fight for Bautista. There was no bias call, even though I was hype on Blackshear all week, taking it on short notice, liking that he's coming off the twister. Bautista beat him, and that's fair, 29-28. I do think Blackshear is still pretty solid, and he's not a guy to be slept on. At the end of the day, this was a risky move he chose to go towards. You got to respect him for trying, and I think he'll be back relatively soon, and I expect some more wins out of Blackshear. Bautista, though, good W, MMA lab guy. I was happy for him because he went out there and outdogged Blackshear late, so it was good shit. Featured bout, Ian Machado Garry defeats Neil Magny. Ian Garry ripped his legs apart. He couldn't get the finish, but he was precise as hell. He's 25. Ian Garry's 25, and he destroyed Neil Magny in the feet, did not allow for Magny to get any type of significant control on him in the clinch, which Magny normally is very good at. Machado Garry was quite sound defensively, and his kicks were off the charts. Now, something that I'm going to say you guys got to understand with Ian Garry is he does not have the same level of punching power as guys maybe you'll compare him to like a Conor McGregor, right? Or even, if you look at other quality striker that fought on this card like a Sean O'Malley, right? Not to, spoil anything coming for the main event. But Ian Garry is a precise kickboxer, doesn't have the huge thud in the hands, which is why he was unable to get Neil Magny out of there. Doesn't have the same crisp boxing, has good boxing, technical striking for sure, but doesn't have the same heavy hands. Got nasty ass kicks though, and Neil Magny, tough as they come, was able to go the full distance. Machado Garry was going for it at the end, throwing heavy ground and pound, trying, flips off Neil Magny after the fight. It was a one-sided beating where Ian Garry showed his skill set, and I think he's pretty high level. And right after the fight, he called out Wonderboy, Stephen Thompson. I'm hearing Wonderboy turn that fight down already, which is crazy to me because if Wonderboy's on a ranked, I believe, number 7 in the world, if he's ranked number 7, you got to defend that spot, man. perfect matchup, striker versus striker. But let's be realistic. Ian Garry's the future. Maybe Wonderboy doesn't want to give Garry a win over him because Wonderboy doesn't have the confidence that he can win the fight. It's a tricky situation, right? When you have a ranked guy that's refusing high-level opposition on the come-up, it puts the rankings in a weird spot where it's like, does that person just get booted out because they're refusing these hard matchups and they're not in the title picture anymore? I don't know. I'd like to see Ian Garry versus Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, but I do recognize the fact that Ian Garry is a lot younger than him, and Thompson, as good as he can still potentially look, might be a bit past his best days at 39. Ian Garry with a huge win. He's entering his prime. I don't even think he's there yet. He's a very competent fighter overall, but specifically his kicking game is off the charts, and I was very impressed with him destroying Neil Magny's leg with the kicks, the left leg, I believe, and Magny could not comfortably switch stances at all. Co-main event of the evening, Weili Zhang defeats Amanda Lemos dominantly over the 5 rounds. The grappling was the ultimate difference maker, but damn tough Lemos, unable to be finished. The strike stats were insane. It was like 260 strikes to like 20-something. It was literally one of the craziest differences in strikes ever. Like, holy shit, the differential was off the charts. Weili beat the brakes out of Lemos. But Amanda Lemos was still dog tough in the fact that she was there at the end of the fight and still trying. She didn't get finished off, and she took a ton of shots. Lemos did land a couple nice right hands, like literally a couple, not like a few, like 7. No, I'm talking like a couple, like 2 throughout the whole fight. And it kind of like made Weili like, oh shit, I felt that. And Lemos was shooting for this really weird kind of anaconda-ish Darce choke a couple times where she got somewhat close. But Weili beat the hell out of her. Clear 10-8 first, multiple 10-8 rounds throughout the whole fight. The best round for Lemos was the 4th round. And Weili still was able to take her down and do damage, and it seemed like Weili had won that round too. I think she won pretty much every round. Maybe the 4th goes the other way, but it was Weili dominance. On the floor, she was a menace. In the striking, she was dangerous too. She hurt Lemos bad, but Lemos, tough as nails, gets dropped, is still surviving somehow as Zhang is trying to get all over her. Scrambles by Lemos. So at the very least, Lemos 100% was there to win the fight, and there was zero wilt in her. She kept trying till the end. She was just outmatched by Weili Zhang. So now the question is it Yan Xiaonan versus Weili in an all-China battle? Because I kind of want to see it. Maybe we can set up UFC China and do that fight. That would be off the charts, man. I'd be all in for that. Count me in. Also know Tatiana Suarez is in the mix, but Yan Xiaonan beat Jessica Andrade before Tatiana Suarez did, so I think she would be more of a potentially deserving contender where the momentum is lying in the division right now. Weili with a great performance sends Lemos out of the title picture, and she's still up there. We'll see what's next for Weili. I think she looks damn good right now, man. She fucked Lemos up. Main event of the evening. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you smash that like button. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe. Sean O'Malley knocks out Aljamain Sterling in the 2nd round. Holy shit. The straight right was on the money. The movement of Sean O'Malley was off the charts in the 1st round. Aljamain Sterling could not take him down. Had a very hard time getting to him. Was landing decent enough kicks. But like O'Malley's reading things and starting to set up strikes as he's making these feints. The dude is just off the charts. The way that he was able to drop Aljamain Sterling, and then he was ground and pounding him. And I think Aljo went out multiple times while there was ground and pound strikes, but then he would like wake up, so the ref let it keep going. And then ultimately the ref jumps in after O'Malley was all over him. Aljamain Sterling's face is bloodied up. And it was interesting that Joe Rogan, though, was saying early stoppage. I'm like, Rogan, I don't agree. I don't think that was an early stoppage. I think there was multiple times the ref could have stopped it before, but it's like Aljo was waking up from all the strikes he's taken. So then it looks like, oh, he was coming back to life. He was not answering any of them. He was done for a while there. Sean O'Malley did his thing out there. He is that thing. Sean O'Malley's that guy. He pulled it off. He made history. His destiny came through. I said I thought he was destined for it, and it came to fruition. Calling the knockout and seeing it happen, like it just felt right. It seemed like one of those moments where you felt like that was probably what was going to be it. So Sean O'Malley wins. He knocks out Aljamain Sterling. I think he'll silence the naysayers, but there'll still be plenty of them. Oh, he caught him. There wasn't enough time. They got to do the rematch. I'm not opposed to the rematch. I'll say that straight out. I'm not opposed to the rematch. But O'Malley said he wants to turn around quick in December and fight Chito Vera. To be honest, because Sandhagen tore his tricep, because Moroz is out injured, the most sensible next contender would be Marlon Vera, because Vera is the only one with a win over Sean O'Malley. So I would be thumbsing up, yes, to see that fight. I'm curious. How would Chito Vera, Sean O'Malley 2 look? Let's make it happen. Let's give Sean O'Malley a chance in December to avenge the lone loss of his career and defend his world title too. Pretty sick, honestly. I'm glad Sean O'Malley won it. It made my night. I was so happy. I was going crazy on the live stream. He was setting things up beautifully. Aljo couldn't close the gap on him. Aljo kind of just came in like a savage. I said he keeps his hands down a lot, and he throws these naked strikes or specifically kicks. He's trying to close the gap with the hands low, head coming in first. Boom, the perfect straight by Sean O'Malley drops him, and then great follow-up. The precision was off the chain for O'Malley. They were comparing the Aldo-McGregor knockout to the O'Malley-Sterling knockout, and there is good comparisons, and I love that it's like flip stances because O'Malley was just on point, man. Super sick win. Perfect straight right. Ends the fight. Aljamain Sterling, I think it was a clean stoppage. I think that it was at the perfect time. It could have been earlier, to be 100% honest. 28 years of age. Sean O'Malley, the world champ. A star was already there, but like now a star is born more than ever before. Sean O'Malley's the UFC bantamweight champion, and I'm stoked as hell. Aljamain Sterling, I think he'll be back at some point. I wouldn't mind him getting a rematch, even an immediate one. I wouldn't complain about it, but I don't know if he wants to jump right back in there. And Sean O'Malley brutally knocking him out like that, you got to think, what's going on in his psyche? Damn, I couldn't even get to O'Malley. Couldn't do anything to him. He knocked me out in one shot. They all doubted Sean O'Malley. I heard it forever. I heard it all week. Everybody shitting on me for picking O'Malley, saying that he was going to knock out Joe out. Not possible. He's going to get manhandled on the ground. I saw it all over Twitter. I heard it from people in person saying that O'Malley had no shot. And I'm glad that I called it and rolled with my guns and pulled it off with Sean O'Malley by knockout. Great way to cap the night. An incredible one for me, smashing past 20,000 subs and calling the Sean O'Malley knockout, and the UFC was in Boston, my freaking hometown where I'm originally from. So I thought that was pretty sick, and I'm part Irish. So the luck of the Irish was with me a little bit on this card. I felt that way. O'Malley with the sick win in the main. Let's review the picks. The record for the night, I believe, 8 wins with 4 losses. We started off with a win. Karine Silva call. Natália Silva call wins. I picked Meerschaert. Petroski won. We took our first L. I thought that Gibson could outdog Katona, and he could not. Katona won it, so good shit. L on my end. I thought Hubbard would beat Holobaugh on the cards. Took an L, so I was down bad. I'm on a 3-fight losing streak. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. We turn it up. Gregory Rodrigues first round knockout call. Brad Tavares decision call. Marlon Vera decision call. Lock of the night. Lock of the week. The lock call. Marlon Vera comes through. Now, I did have Blackshear. I thought he could outdog Mario Bautista. Bautista proved me wrong there. Garry over Magny call. Weili Zhang over Lemos call. And then O'Malley by knockout over Aljo. So things finished pretty good. 8-4, riding a 3-fight win streak, cashing on an new in the main event. Underdog. I feel pretty great. UFC 292 was more than a success. It was epic for me. It was an amazing night. I hope you guys enjoyed the week's worth of content. I'll be dropping the UFC predictions later today. So if you're watching on Sunday, it'll be today for the upcoming card. Looking forward to that. I got to be up mad early for the next fight companion. I think like 5 a.m. Eastern time. So that should be fun. Make sure you smash the likes and subscribe if you're new with those post notifications turned on so you don't miss a video. Much love to everybody. Thank you all for consistently supporting the channel and making this thing possible. Let me know what you thought of the fights in the comments. Are you hype on the picks? Because I think you should be. And definitely, if you have nothing to say in those comments, but you just enjoy the content, as always, drop a W in the chat to boost the algorithm for you, boy. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace, everybody.